Hey guys, this is Mr. James from the Kenai Community Library coming at you with another Let's Draw. Now today we are going to be drawing The Dark Knight because Batman Day is just around the corner. But you might be wondering, well, why do you have this wooden figure here? And why do you have the lights all dim? That's because today we're drawing Batman using a three-dimensional reference. Now, this is a mannequin or an anatomical model that artists use. It's a posable model. You can use its articulation that it has to move it, and it'll stay in that position, and it stands up real nice and easy, and you can move the legs and all of that. But what else has similar articulation and almost in a sense kind of looks the same as this posable mannequin that artists use? Well, for all you young artists out there, you might have an action figure or a doll at home that you can use as a stand-in three-dimensional model. So since today we're drawing Batman, I did grab a three-dimensional model that we're doing today, maybe right about here. We've got a light source, and that was what I was going to talk to you also about, is you can pose your action figures any way you want them using their articulation, which makes it pretty fun. And then you have your subject matter that you're drawing. Since today we're drawing Batman, I happen to have a Batman action figure, so we're going to use this guy to help us draw our Batman today. And before you begin, pose the figure in the way you want, and then set up a light source. Now, dramatic lighting, also called chiaroscuro lighting, offers a really fun image, and it kind of simplifies the forms a little bit. So today we are going to be using a dramatic light source, and we're going to simplify it. And if, as you can see as the camera zooms in here, that his face is covered in some shadow, we are going to just adjust the lighting, get that all situated before our Let's Draw. So what I want you guys to do is grab a pencil, paper, and eraser. We'll set this guy up, and let's get ready to draw. All right, I got my three-dimensional reference all set up here, and we are ready to draw. So I'm going to start with my paper in a horizontal format, and I'm going to be drawing a portrait today using our reference there. So step one, this is just some sketch marks. You guys, of course, can erase yours. I won't be able to because I'm using a Sharpie, but that's okay. So I'm going to start by just offering just a quick kind of lines down the middle, and I'm going to be pretty loose and sketchy here at the start just to get the shape. So the first thing I want to do, we are doing a portrait of Batman today. And with that in mind, I'm just going to get the general shape of him right here. I'm going to kind of make it an upside down egg. So I'm going to bring it down. And it's okay if it's not perfect, but just this kind of general shape like this. I think that looks pretty good. Hope you guys can see that at home. Just a couple of sketch marks here looking at, based on the reference, the action figure I'm using here. I'm going to go ahead and put the eyes right about in the middle here. So I'm just putting some guidelines. The nose will probably be right about in here. And then so what I do is halfway between this area here and this area here, it looks to be about where the eyes are, looking at my reference. And then from here to here, I think it does not look quite as low as halfway, just looking at my image here. So I'm going to make it a little higher up, and then the mouth, I think, is going to be right about here. So it's going to be something right about in here, which gives him this really strong jaw. So let's go ahead and sketch out Batman before we refine it with our lines we want to do. So step one, since I have these guidelines in place, is I like to start with the nose, and then I'll work my way to the eyes, or I could do the nose and mouth and work my way up to the eyes, which will be, for the most part, covered in shadow. So what I want to do is, if this is about where my nose is going to be, now remember, Batman, if we're looking at our image here, which you guys should be able to see on the screen, it's going to have a little bit of a mark like this, kind of a line going straight across where they call it his cowl, or his mask that he wears. Kind of comes over, maybe it swerves up just a little right there. And again, I'll refine these lines at the end. And then it comes down like so, and we're going to give Batman a really strong jaw, so that jaw comes all the way down. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And bring that down. Just kind of sketching what I'm seeing here. And you can see that I have this upside down egg shape. I put some guidelines here where I think my eyes go, my nose, my mouth, and then I'm drawing. The nose you're really not going to see too much because the nose is actually part of the cowl. So all I'm going to do to indicate the nose is just draw a line going up and down right here. Right like that is all I really need to do for Batman's nose right now. And I'll get more, maybe I can make it just a little bit. I'll get a little bit more into that here in just a second. But it does cast that shadow. Before I draw the shadow, let's go ahead and kind of place where that mouth is going to be. I do kind of like where I put that. I'm going to bring that, just the line that separates the top lip from the bottom lip. And I'm going to make just kind of almost a little bit of a frown because he looks like he's kind of scowling a little bit. Good Batman face where he's just brewing like that. And then we're going to put right about there. I didn't go all the way across. I just went a little ways across because it's going to kind of divot down. So let's go ahead and kind of divot that down. We're going to do the same thing on this side. It's going to go to about right there. And then kind of divot down. I like that kind of scowled look. But let's draw his lips. Now to do that, I'm just going to put a little U right there and then draw the lips coming over like this. And then just kind of make that kind of come down here. This is just the sketch part of it. We'll refine this here. And this part kind of comes down a little bit too. And you can see there's a lot more shadows that we'll add. And we'll get there. So the bottom part of the lip, I'm going to space this out. So if this is the top lip, the bottom one's definitely a lot heavier. Bring that over like so, and kind of offer what looks like maybe the chin will be right about starting right here. So just adding a couple little guidelines to help me out when I start to refine. Okay, it's looking, right now it doesn't quite feel like Batman yet, but we're getting there. I can assure you we are getting there. And so the mouth, we're going to just add a few more lines. I'm going to just add a couple sketch lines going down right here. A sketch line from underneath this cowl. There would be a line coming down right here. Same thing on this side. Line coming down. And here we definitely got a line coming down here. So kind of fun look right there. He's looking pretty rough, and then we can even add that shadow. Now all I'm going to do to add that shadow is I am just going to take and bring this down, because this is that nose, the shadow of the cowl, nose coming down. It's going to come down right here. It's going to go through the lips, down through the bottom lip right here, and just kind of touch this area just like this. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing here. Looking at the image that you guys should be able to see there, you can see that I'm drawing where my darks meet my lights, and we will shade all that in here in just a little bit. So let's go ahead and shade the eyes now. And the eyes, I'm going to start right here in the middle, and I am going to develop what I think will look like pretty good shadow-covered eyes, since we have this dramatic lighting. It looks like it comes all the way over to about kind of an angle about like that. So that angle looks like this. I want the same angle on this side. And I'm going to take it almost to here. So I'm going to go up right here and bring this down. Look how steep that angle is. I like that look. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to bring this up. Hopefully that's the same angle. I'm kind of drawing at a slant here. It's not drawing so upright. That's okay. And I'm going to bring it about right to this area, right about here. If if I feel like I kind of made that one not as sloped, I can kind of bring that over. Hopefully you guys can see all these marks here. Now, because his eyes are covered in shadow, I'm going to go ahead and draw that shadow. I'm going to start with the left eye so I can compare that to my right eye. I do that because I'm right-handed. It makes it a little easier. Bring that over. This eye comes all the way down. He's got kind of like that. We're getting there. Now what I want to do is I want to offer a little piece of the cowl, kind of looking at my model here, kind of comes over like this, as if this would be part of the eye socket, but it's not part of the eye socket because it's lit. So I'm just going to do a couple little marks there, bring this over, and then make it look like it would have attached to that right there, because all of this kind of gets dark, but this part here is light. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Draw this coming down. And then we're going to kind of make this come over. Drawing from life is a lot of fun. So we're going to bring this over, and I'm going to bring this just like on that side. Looks like it kind of comes over like so. And these are dark in shadow right here, which is kind of neat. I think that'll offer a neat look when we start to shade this here. Okay, so we have the eyes in place. He's definitely got some wrinkles coming up off these eyes. Make him look a little meaner right here. I'm just sketching. Do the same thing coming off right here. Kind of just sketching that out like that. And now let's go ahead and add about right here where the neck would go. Looks like the cowl comes over, dips in, and then I'm going to offer a little bit of a neck right here. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Looks like it kind of comes up, at least from the angle I'm sitting at, kind of comes over like this. And then it comes over. The last thing I can kind of add right here would be top of his cowl, these little kind of iconic spikes on the top of Batman's head that offers that really cool looking Batman cowl. They have to have these. I like that. And then I'm going to make this neck a little bit thicker here. And I'm going to make it my own by making the neck just even a little bit thicker than my model here. Looks like he doesn't have much of a neck on this side, and a little bit more of a neck on this side. Kind of comes over like so, and then even starts to give him a little bit more. Okay, so now I have my sketch in place enough that I can start to refine this a little bit. So let's do that with some markers. Let's refine the lines first. The lines that I like, since I have my sketch in place. I think I really like this line. I think this line is pretty dead on. So I have that line in place. I think coming down this way, almost kind of comes in just a little bit and out, almost making room for his ear right here. So I'm going to do that if I can, just a little bit right there. Don't want to do that too much. Give him a little jaw right here from what I can see from my three-dimensional reference. I like all of that. We're going to go ahead and make this darker here. I'm going to bring this over like so. Just a little divot there, again, for what appears to be maybe his ears right in there. Pretty detailed action figure, I gotta say. And then do that. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and refine these. going up and put them at a little bit of an angle, not straight up, and then just kind of bring those down. Do the same thing on this side. Like that. I'm going to just put a little mark here where his neck, and then he kind of has his, almost what looks like battle armor here. I think this Batman is based on the video game Arkham Origins, for anyone who might have played some of those video games. Okay, that looks pretty good so far. Now let's go ahead. I do like where my shadows are. I want to go ahead and refine those. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in these eyes. And I think we'll start to see them come alive a little bit. Funny how sometimes that chiaroscuro lighting can really make for a cool effect. All right, we have that slope coming in. I'm kind of using a big marker here, but that's okay. So right there. Now that I've got that one shaded, it comes up just a hair right there, and then I'm going to bring it down and do this eye. It's nice to do the left eye first if you're right-handed, just so you can compare and see what you've done before. And you're not sitting your wrist on your drawn eye. If you did your right eye first and you're right-handed, you'd be resting your wrist on that. Just a little helpful hint there. Okay, so we got our shadows there. I like that. I think those shadows helped a little bit. I've got shadows here, so I'm going to go ahead and add these shadows. And we are going to make these edges a little more gradual. I'll show you how I do that here in just a second. Okay, so we're going to put this filled in. I think that looks pretty cool right there. Just take a peek at that. Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Hope you guys can see that in my image there. And again, this might vary a little bit from the camera just because I am kind of maybe drawing it at a different angle than you guys can see. Interesting, but I like that. Okay, so now let's go ahead. The nose comes down. I'm going to add the shadow right here for the nose. You guys should be able to see what I'm looking at there. There's a cast shadow. I'm starting to see my Batman come to life here, which is exciting. That shadow goes all the way down into this top lip. So I'm going to bring that shadow into the top lip. Again, kind of using a big marker. I'm going to go ahead and fill this top lip in because that is in shadow with these divots here. And you can see that what I did was I made myself guidelines here. And it's called a cartoon, where you separate your lights and your darks. So I did that right here, and I can see that so far it looks pretty well proportioned. I'm going to go ahead and add this shadow down here. This keeps going through his bottom lip. Oh yeah, okay, I can kind of see how it's coming along here. And it goes down into the shadow right below his chin. I'm sorry, right below his bottom lip here. Okay, can you guys see Batman starting to show up here? We're going to go ahead and add a few more shadows while we got this big marker out. Looks like we're going to go right here. Kind of drop that down. If you look at the chin there. And then he's got a really hefty shadow right here because he's got that big jaw here. So we're going to add that. So I wonder who are some of your favorite superheroes. Maybe if you do my Let's Draw on here and you felt like adding a comment on who are some of your favorite superheroes and why. Why are they some of your favorite superheroes? Batman definitely would be one of my favorites. Can't deny that. This is probably my second Let's Draw on drawing Batman, but I thought it would be really fun to draw Batman with a three-dimensional reference, such as an action figure or something to help us with that. So there's a lot more shadows right here, and I'm a little nervous to do that with marker. So I'm going to try that with something a little different, but I did want to go ahead and fill some of this in dark. So this all looks pretty dark right in here. All of this is cast in shadow right down here. Looks like it comes down like this and goes over, because his suit's kind of bent a little this way, which is cool. Kind of makes a neat dynamic look when Batman's kind of facing this other direction and his cape is way over, kind of coming down, but his symbol's over here actually, and I like that look a lot. So I'm going to add a little bit more of a shadow coming down right here, and all this will be filled in. When you fill in with pencil, take your time. Make sure your lines are nice and close together. If you need to, you can even take a little blending tool and kind of blend that to make that look a little bit smoother. I'm going to add a nice big line separating that with just a little bit more darks right in here. It looks like it just gets a little bit dark right here. I'm going to add those darks like that. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to just add a few more little darks. Looks like maybe a dark edge here. These are dark to start with. We'll talk about what I'm going to do with these here in just a second. Like that. And then I think I'm going to just bring this and kind of connect it right here to this. And then we'll call it good. Just like that. Looks like this shadow kind of comes over, looking at my image here. And then I do see some shadows up here, so I'm going to just add a few right here. And on this side, there's definitely a shadow. Hope you guys can see that too. And on this side, there's a shadow. Yeah, something like that just to help us. Okay, so now I have my placement. I've got my lines darkened in. What I'm going to do now is take something, and you guys at home would just be using your pencil also, but I'm going to use this so that I can blend a little bit better. So I'm going to switch over to a pencil so that I can add a little bit more tonal values. And I know that's, what does that word mean, tonal values? Well, that means the gradations of lights and darks. And since we have a light source, we offered a light source, we want to just make sure that we make it look like the light source is coming from above. So to do that, let's start with the cowl here, and then we'll go down to the jaw. But I'm going to just put a little line right here, cool little line, since I got these pencils. And I'm just going to put, I'm going to kind of fill this in with a little bit lighter. You can see it's definitely not as dark as his eyes. I'm going to do the same thing over here and just bring this in. You can already see that the nose kind of popped a little bit by doing that. I like that. I'm glad that kind of worked out. So I'm lightly shading this in. You guys at home would just not push down so hard on your pencils if you weren't using markers. And we're going to kind of bring this over. I really like how this kind of just blends over here. I think that helps. And then we're going to bring this over here. Make it a little bit lighter. This can be pretty dark down here. Oh yeah, that's looking like Batman. Come on, I think that looks a little bit like Batman. So we're going to bring this up like this. Right here, I'm going to just kind of bring this over and fill this in. Kind of fill in the whole thing in though a little bit. You don't really want to offer too much highlight or it's going to look too shiny. I don't want that. Okay, I'm enjoying that so far. I'm going to offer a little bit of darks on this side. Right here, I'm going to just put darks going up like this, just because it's a kind of a crease that he has. that's going to go all the way up like this. And I'm going to make this a little bit lighter. Hope you guys can see that there. And then here, I'm going to make this just kind of a little bit darker. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and make these. I'm going to just put a little divot since he's a little madder looking. I don't know if you guys can see these details. I'm pretty close up to my model hill. You guys are not as close, so maybe you can't see these, but I'm going to add a little bit right here. So far, I think that looks pretty good. And then you can definitely see the shine on the top of his head. So I'm just going to bring this over. And we're just going to make kind of a nice white kind of circle right in here to indicate that the light source is hitting the top right there. And I think that helps too. Yeah, pretty fun. Nice dramatic highlights here. We'll bring this over. Just going to kind of lightly make that a little more of a fade. Yeah, that works for Batman. And we're going to bring this over a little darker on this side. This up. And let's start to make this side a little darker. We're almost done. And that didn't take too long. You guys have done wonderful. Let's make this come over. How does it feel to use a reference when you guys, now you guys are watching someone use a reference, but when you guys are actually using a reference there at home, let me know how it feels in the comments. Maybe you can pull out a different kind of, maybe you got a doll of maybe Wonder Woman, or maybe you got a action figure, a model of a character that you've always really liked. You can certainly set them up, set up some lighting, and make that a drawing that you can do based on your reference. This a little darker right here. Bring that over. And I think right here, I'm going to make this just a little bit lighter. Not push down as hard. All right, well right now I think that has a Batman feel. We just got to refine a little bit right here on his chin, and we are almost done. So I'm just going to take now, and I'm just going to refine a little bit here, making it a little darker right here. I really like the shadows that this cast right in here. I'm gonna soften these edges, just kind of fun. I'm gonna put this, kind of makes almost a real hefty kind of jaw here for the Dark Knight. Wonder what y'all's favorite Batman book is, comic book, or favorite Batman movie. Yeah, I think that helped there, just kind of adding that detail. We'll bring these all the way down. Do you see how it's kind of started to come to life just with this medium tone that I'm adding here? And I'm just doing it quickly with a colored pencil. You guys at home, of course, can just not push down as hard with your pencil. It's all about finding that balance. And then this comes down. I don't know if you guys can see that here. From my angle, it comes down all the way, which I think helps. And then we'll just add a little of this. All right, that looks a lot like Batman, I think. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of fill this in. Fill this in. We'll bring this down. If you want, you can try and tie in the bat symbol. It's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and kind of get to a stopping point here, but you guys at home can add whatever you want to your drawing. Kind of fill this in here. There we go. This shoulder actually keeps going, so we're going to kind of just pretend that one keeps going here. And there is our portrait of the Dark Knight. So what you want to do when you are done is just sign your piece, and I'm going to sign mine just over here. I don't sign my pieces too big because I really don't want to distract from the artwork. And then I put the year like that. And there's our portrait using a three-dimensional reference. Hope you guys had fun with that. And again, just kind of curious who your favorite superhero is. Put that in the comments. You guys have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing your drawings. Bye.